Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech and Prep. Today we're going to do a prep video. I've had to do a bunch of the tech ones and some more breaking news just because stuff that's been going on, but I want to get into the prep side of things. Today I want to go over power, what I'm going to be doing for power generation in case of emergency, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's, oh my God, zombies, whether it's a solar flare, hopefully not, or whatever, because, the saying is sometimes it rains. So what I've done personally is I am set up for two different types of generators and I have two different types of solar setups. And I'll go over what I have and kind of what the purpose of each one of those is going to be. So I'll go with the smallest one first. So the smallest one I have is a Blue Eddy set up here, and it comes with a 120-watt solar panel and all the cables that are needed. I have a Jackery unit right here. This, I believe, is a 100-watt solar panel that I bought separately, but it's designed set with that one. That one's 200 watts. You can see right here at the bottom there. And then I have two different generators. One is a inverter generator, which you saw here in the first screen, which is this one right here. I bought this off Amazon years ago, and it was a Black Friday special. It was not the $400 it was. I think it was like 200 and something. And this one, talk about this in a second. And then the other one that I have is going to be a actual full-size generator, which is right here, this Westinghouse. So you can see I bought that back in 2022. The Blue Eddy I bought back in 2021. And I'll say it now, make sure you get some changes of oil. And one thing that I put in all my generators is this magnetic dipstick. That way, if any kind of metal comes off in there, it'll collect on the dipstick and you can pull it out because you're going to have to do oil changes on this thing. And I also got spark plugs. One other thing that I'm not showing is these fuel filters that I got for inline fuel filter generator. These are very, very cheap, very small, something like this. I'm just going to pull these out of thin air here just for the picture. Something like that. And there's flow only goes one way. And what that will allow you to do is that will allow you to filter your fuel. Now, one thing I will say, when you're done with your generators, find where here is the off for the fuel pump and turn it off at the fuel pump. That way it'll run it dry and it won't get clogged up and you won't have to worry about draining your carburetor and cleaning your carburetor. Ask me how I know. So that is a little hack for you right there. So from smallest to biggest, the smallest ones I have again are going to be my Blue Eddy and my Jackery. These are designed to power cell phones, tablets, and small PCs that I have. I'll get into that in a different video. The other one that I have is going to be the Jackery. Same thing. Cell phones, tablets, small laptops. This generator here is my smaller one, is man portable, weighs about 40 pounds, and I have it in my garage and in my box. You'll see here, that's my garage right there. And I take it out once a quarter and I start it up, let it run for 10 or 15 minutes, and then shut it down properly. I also do the same thing with my other generator. I start that thing up at least a couple times a year, let it run for 10, 15 minutes, and then shut it off properly so it drains the gas and doesn't clog the fuel setup. Now, one thing you have to be careful about, and I'm not going to go into super detail here, is when you try and pick out a generator, you have to know what your requirement is for the starting watts versus running watts. This is very high level. Plenty of other people have done videos on this, but this is very critical. So, for example, what's the typical starting watts for a fridge or a freezer? For example, typical home appliances need anywhere from 500 to 1500, we'll call it, watts for startup. That's to get the compressor running. Once it's running, then it can idle on a third of that. We'll say 100 to 500 watts. So this generator here has 1800 running watts and 2300 peak watts. So I can plug my fridge or freezer into this. It has enough to cover the 14 or 1500 peak watts it needs to start the compressor. And then when it runs and it's using 400, 500, 600 watts just to sit there and run, it'll easily handle that. This is very important. This is why this will not work on something as small as a Jackery. So for example, the Jackery has only 200 watts. Peak is maybe 400 watts. That is not enough to get the compressor running on something like that. Now, Jackery definitely makes units that are bigger. So does EcoFlow, so does Blue Eddies, all the companies do. But you have to make sure you get the right peak and the right running watts. That's very, 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 very important. I estimate that I can run what I need to off these two generators with the gas I have in hand for probably about 90 days. I keep enough gas on hand in 5-gallon jugs, plus 2 vehicles full of gas almost at all times, that I expect to be able to run these day in and day out for 90 days. Now, I won't do that. I'll run the fridge until it's empty, and then I'll run the freezers until I need to stop running those, and then I will fall back to these because the gas does go bad. Now, I do have gas that I have in 5-gallon jugs that is 2 and 3 years old because I use stabilizer. They stay out of the sun, and they're in an enclosed environment safely. So gas will stay good if you prepare it, but you're going to need a plan for that, right? So that's just a real quick video on what my preps are going to be for power. I'm going to go into water in the next video, and then another video here real soon. I'm going to do the different technology I'm going to use in case of something goes down, the internet goes down, it's the middle of a blizzard. I am in the Rocky Mountains, so we do get snow events here. Sometimes they last a couple days, sometimes they last a couple hours, but it's all good to know. So if you have any questions or comments or concerns, write them in the chat or send me an email, and we'll talk to you on the next video.